Just 5 champions build this item. This item gives damage, haste, HP, armor and a slow. I'm talking about Iceborn Gauntlet. But why only 5 champions build it? Is it underrated and it's actually OP and broken? And how Riot could fix it? But first, subscribe. So if we look at the analytical websites, Xante, Illaoi, Wally, Nasus and Poppy are the only 5 champions who consistently buy Iceborn Gauntlet. Xante builds it all the time and it's kinda OP on him cause he spams abilities and procs Spellblade all the time and get perma slow. Yeah, and the stats are good. Illaoi builds it cause this item synergizes with her kit. When the enemies are slowed, it's a lot easier to hit them with the tentacles. Wally, Nasus and Poppy don't build it as much as these two, but they like the item for the same reasons. Spam abilities, proc Spellblade, get some extra damage, the slow and the stats are good. But why Iceborn Gauntlet is so unpopular and just 5 champions build it? The stats look aight. If you can spam abilities, it gives a lot of extra damage, and the slow. It looks like a solid item and it should have a higher pick rate. Nah, compared to other similar items like Trinity Force, it's not that good. Like Trinity has gold efficiency of 109%, which means that you get a lot of stats for your gold, and Iceborn Gauntlet has gold efficiency of 88%, which means that you don't get much stats. The passive that it gives is not that impactful too, like it's just slow. Trinity's passive gives more extra damage and it gives move speed. It's a lot more impactful. Many champions just choose damage over the utility. So basically Trinity gives better stats and a better passive, and there are so many items that are just better than Iceborn Gauntlet. But wait, maybe everyone is just using it wrong and Iceborn Gauntlet is actually broken and OP? Nah, I don't think so. It may be broken on Xante, but you know, item is not the problem here. And I think that this item is okay how it is right now, and it doesn't need a rework. But I came up with a brilliant rework idea that will bring a completely new mechanic to the league. This mechanic is so simple, and for some reason it doesn't exist in League of Legends. This mechanic is absolute slow. But what it do? We all know there's an average slow that reduces move speed, but no one knows that there's a second type of slow in League. It's called cripple. Yeah, only like 4 champions have this effect, so you know when Nasus uses W on you, and as an ADC you can't do shit. Yeah, that's the cripple effect. And there is a third type of slow that could exist in League of Legends, but Riot don't wanna add it to the game cause it's a new mechanic. This third type of slow is a cast speed slow. It would slow how fast you cast abilities and how fast all the dashes are and all that, you know. Absolute slow would apply all of the 3 effects at once. Imagine they can't come up with a new mechanic. Absolute slow, Riot, here you go. I thought of 3 ways of how the absolute slow effect can be added to the Iceborn Gauntlet. As usual, those are just ideas of some P-slow, low elo League player, me. Don't take it too serious and all the numbers must be tested and calibrated, it's just a concept, yeah. The first idea is the most absurd one out of all of them. I call this one Ice Prison. Iceborn Gauntlet gets an active. You press it, it stomps the ground, and after a small delay, Ice Prison emerges from the ground and stays there for 5 seconds. Anyone who enters the Iceborn Prison gets absolutely slowed until they leave the prison. And I mean anyone who enters gets slowed, so enemies, you and your teammates get slowed too. But the enemies get slowed by more, let's say by 30%, but you and your teammates get slowed by just 20%. So it's not a I press, I slow, I win. No, you gotta think a little more. You know, yes, you will slow the enemies, but you yourself also getting slowed. Like, if you're running away in an open area, it's not worth it to use it, cause yeah, you will slow one enemy, but you also slow yourself, which will allow the enemy team to catch up. But if you are running away in a place where there is not much space to kite around, it might be worth using it, cause the enemy team will have to go through Ice Prison anyway. Or you can use it and flash out or do a dash so the enemies get slowed, but you don't. You know, it's not a brain dead button that you can just press in any situation. You gotta think a little more. What this item effectively does, it creates like a cage for all the melee champions, and it allows ADCs and mages to be less worried about getting one-shotted by a tank, at least until the Ice Prison runs out or they get out. Maybe I didn't explain it clearly, but you can get out of the ice prison anytime, so you can just walk out, but it's difficult to do it because you are slowed. Yeah. It also would be nice if all the projectiles and skill shots were slowed when they enter the ice prison. But I guess it's impossible to make something that complex in League of Legends just due to the technical reasons, like, yeah. Also the slow could depend on the champion's health, so like if it's a Cyan with 10,000 HP he gets slowed by 40%, but if it's an ADC with 2000 HP he gets slowed by just 20% or something. But no, it's pointless. Because the tanks will buy the item and they slow themselves. Forget what I said, it's a dumb idea. Yeah, this whole thing is just an absurd idea and all the numbers must be tested. The slow maybe should be lower or higher, it's just a concept. I promise, the next ideas are a lot more realistic and more working. Second idea, counter-playable idea. Again, Iceborn Gauntlet gets an active. You press it, it stomps the ground in a smaller area, and after a small delay, ice explosion happens. And this explosion applies 30% absolute slow for 3 seconds to all the enemies hit by this explosion. But if the explosion didn't hit anyone, like any target, you, the user of the Iceborn Gauntlet, you yourself are getting slowed by 20%. So again, it's not a brain dead ability that you can just press without any thinking. It has a little bit of counterplay because the enemy can do a dash, flash out, or if they got a lot of move speed, they can just run outside of the radius. Yeah, I know, flashing out just not to get slowed by 30% is kinda dumb, but you know, if you got a dash or a lot of move speed, you can do something, yeah. For Iceborn Gauntlet users, it's a high risk, high reward type of thing. Like, if you don't hit anyone, you get slowed. But if you hit an enemy champion, reward is huge, because the enemy gets absolutely slowed by 30% for 3 seconds. And the last boring idea. Give Iceborn Gauntlet an active, you press it, it stomps the ground and applies the 30% absolute slow for 3 seconds immediately. Yeah, just like that. No counterplay, no time to react, no space for outplay, it's just a boring idea, just like most mechanics in League. I will say it again, all of the numbers must be tested. Maybe the slow should be not 30% but 25 or 20, 15, 10, I don't know. Maybe all of these rework ideas are OP and broken. Maybe the absolute slow is a completely broken mechanic and that's why it doesn't exist. It's all just a concept. And I don't think that Iceborn Gauntlet is a useless item. It's just a niche item that is designed for certain champions and it doesn't need changes that much. But I want changes. I want to change something. And you can help me. You see that number, it's 840 or something. You can change it if you tap that subscribe button. I really want the 1000 subs until the end of the summer.